Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. NHL players who earn a long-term position in the league can end up making a lot of money during their respective careers. Whether you're the best that the sport has to offer, a middling talent on the roster, or even a role player at the bottom of the depth chart, the hundreds of players who stick around the league year after year have no trouble earning millions or even tens of millions of dollars by the time they hang up their skates. Though these contracts can be worth more than most people will see in their entire lifetime, players won't receive every single penny of their deal. Due to the differing tax rates for each US state and Canadian province, as well as the escrow fund set up to ensure both the players and the league receive an even 50% share of revenues, players usually won't receive the exact amount of money that their contract is worth against the salary cap. That said, most players are still able to afford the finer things in life, like a nice house and a sports car or two, thanks to the money they make from playing the sport they love. However, one player would see almost all of his earnings from the first decade of his career vanish before his very eyes. This is the story of Jack Johnson, from Millionaire to Bankruptcy. In order to tell this pretty shocking tale, allow me to take you back to July 30th, 2005, when defenseman Jack Johnson was selected with the 3rd overall pick of the 2005 NHL entry draft by the Carolina Hurricanes. Johnson would then spend the next 2 seasons refining his game in college at the University of Michigan before signing his entry-level contract on March 27, 2007 with the Los Angeles Kings, having been traded to the team in September of 2006. Though his first pro contract would have a cap hit of just $850,000 a year, the potential bonuses attached to the deal, both performance-based and signing-based, would mean that Johnson could earn up to $6.45 million during his entry-level deal. Not a bad sum of money for an early 20-year-old to make, eh folks? Over the next 5 seasons, between 2007 and 2012, Johnson would take to the ice for Los Angeles and produce decent numbers from the blue line during his young NHL career, scoring 30 goals and 124 points in 343 regular season games, as well as 12 points in 12 playoff games. Sure, they weren't exactly 3rd overall pick caliber numbers, but going a point per game in the playoffs is a pretty impressive feat, especially for a defenseman of his age. During this time on the Kings roster, Johnson would put pen to paper several times and ink a few new contracts with the team, such as a 2-year, $2.85 million deal on July 17, 2009 after his entry-level deal had expired, before signing a massive 7-year, $30.5 million contract extension on January 9, 2010, meaning Jack Johnson was guaranteed to have earned almost $40 million by his 32nd birthday. Less than 2 years into this huge contract though, Johnson would be packing up his things and joining a new team, as he was traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets on February 23, 2012. Despite moving on from the only NHL team he had ever played for, the American defenseman would bring his decent production with him to Ohio and make a pretty good first impression in Columbus, as he scored 14 goals and 66 points in 147 regular season games during his first 2.5 seasons on the Blue Jackets roster. Though Johnson had found a new home in Columbus and was seemingly set for life financially, the former 3rd overall pick was about to shock the hockey world. Unfortunately though, it would be for all the wrong reasons. On October 7th, 2014, just 3 years after his 7-year deal had kicked in, Jack Johnson announced that he had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, claiming just $50,000 in assets against his debts estimated to be worth between $10 and $15 million. So how did Johnson, a multi-millionaire by his late 20s, get himself into such a terrible financial mess? Well, as Johnson and his family attended court to try and figure everything out, information came to light which suggested that Jack Johnson wasn't the one to rack up all of this debt. His parents were. Since 2008, it appeared that Johnson's parents had been in control of Jack's finances, and the pair had allegedly been trying to pocket as much money as they could from Jack's NHL contracts since his rookie season in the league. A former agent of Johnson's claimed that Jack was, quote, extremely under the control of his parents, and when he raised this issue with Jack, his parents somehow found out and fired him the next day. A few weeks before signing his 7-year contract in 2010, Johnson had officially signed power of attorney over to his mother, meaning she now had full legal control of his finances. Though most mothers would want to keep good care of their kids' money and make sure that the high amounts they were earning from hockey would help to set them up for the rest of their lives, Jack's mum and dad wasted no time splashing out the cash. For example, Jack's dad bought a Ferrari F430 to match his son's sports car, Jack's mum had her wedding ring upgraded with a 6-carat diamond, and the pair bought a house in Manhattan Beach, California, which they then spent even more money on to upgrade. They would also travel around the country in style, and would often make the trip to see Jack play on the road in other cities across North America. I get that some parents think they should be compensated or even rewarded by their kids for making the sacrifices that help to get them to these prestigious, high-paying occupations, but this takes entitlement to a whole new level. Despite having millions of dollars to play with, Johnson's parents felt that they needed even more money to maintain their new lavish lifestyle. This need for cash prompted the couple to take out as many as 18 high-interest loans, totaling approximately $15 million, some of which had interest rates as high as 24%. 24% of $15 million is a lot of money, folks. Since his parents had put Jack's name on the loans, the defenseman had already been sued 3 different times for more than $6 million due to defaulting on these loans before filing for bankruptcy. According to Jack, he had no knowledge of what his parents had been doing while he was playing hockey, especially with their large purchase of the Manhattan Beach property. In fact, Jack would call up his parents and ask them why people would keep calling him asking him for money, and his parents told him not to worry about it and to just focus on playing hockey. If that wasn't bad enough, Jack's parents had supposedly told him that their big purchases were being made through an inheritance they received from a recently deceased relative, and that the people trying to contact him for the money were likely con artists or scammers. So his own parents, the people who had brought him into this world and who were supposed to protect him and care for him, weren't even willing to be honest and tell him that they were using his money, the money he had earned himself through hard work, injuries, and perseverance. I don't know about you, but I find that absolutely disgusting. I cannot imagine how guilty I would feel if I stole that much money off of someone else, let alone my own flesh and blood. Now, on the flip side of this situation, Jack's parents claim that they too were victims, as they were taken advantage of for their lack of financial sophistication, as they were approached by loan brokers who promised a surefire way to make money with investments in property and large purchases. Jack's parents also claim that the defenseman was not only aware of their spending habits, but he was also complicit in them too, including the purchase of their beach house in California. According to his parents, Jack seemed to be fine with them buying the property, as his 2 parents each gave him a $10 bill for the lease, and Jack joked that he would use it to buy lunch for them later in the day. However, Jack completely denies these claims, so take whichever side you think is more accurate. I've already made my decision, but I'm giving you all the information, so make your decision yourself. Despite how awfully his parents had treated him for years on end, their attempts to cover up what they were doing began to fall apart when Johnson got engaged to his now wife Kelly Quinn, and the two took a closer look at his finances. Johnson wanted to become more financially independent from his parents in preparation for starting a family of his own, but his parents allegedly tried to slow down the process as much as they could and told Jack not to act so quickly. I wonder why. Once he had confronted his parents on their spending habits in May of 2014, a few months before filing for bankruptcy, Johnson then hired his own attorneys and financial advisors and began to work through the mess that his parents had left him. He even refused to speak to his parents during the entire legal proceedings. I don't really blame him though, to be honest, do you? Ironically, just before filing for bankruptcy, Jack's parents tried to convince him to take out one more loan in order to keep his head above water. They just couldn't help themselves, could they, folks? By November of 2016, over 2 years after initially filing for bankruptcy, Johnson had either paid off or had reached a settlement in court with 6 of his 8 creditors. In order to do so, Johnson had to liquidate 2 of his homes and a luxury car, whilst also giving up almost all of the money he would earn from the final 2 years of his 7-year contract, leaving just $246,000 of the $4.4 million that he would earn in each of those 2 seasons. This made him by far the lowest paid player in the NHL for those 2 seasons. Hell, he's probably the lowest paid NHL player for quite some time with a salary like that. Being able to liquidate one of the homes proved to be pretty problematic though, as Johnson's parents reportedly refused to vacate the property since the pair had signed a 50-year rent-free lease with their son. So even after he was trying to fix the mess that they had created for him, his parents were still making things as difficult as possible. The more I hear about his parents, the more sympathy I have for Jack. I mean, the poor guy's had to deal with these two for his entire life. God, I feel for you, buddy, I really do. Following this difficult situation, Jack Johnson would play out the rest of his contract with Columbus and finish his time as a Blue Jacket with 36 goals and 154 points in 445 regular season games, as well as 7 points in 6 playoff games. Hey, at least he was still a good playoff performer, right? Then, on July 1st, 2018, Johnson became an unrestricted free agent and signed a 5-year, $16.25 million contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins, captained by none other than Johnson's very good childhood friend, Sidney Crosby. Since then, Johnson has spent the last 2 seasons in Pittsburgh and has scored 4 goals and 24 points in 149 regular season games and gone scoreless in 7 playoff games. However, with 3 more years left on his deal, he still has time to get back to what made him successful in years past and kick his production up a notch as he enters his mid-30s. Though his on-ice performance is certainly open for scrutiny, and he has never really lived up to the hype that comes with being a 3rd overall draft pick, thanks to a couple of overbearing parents and their desire to live the high life off the back of their son's bank account, Jack Johnson would file for bankruptcy in 2014 and spend the next half a decade trying to dig himself out of the hole that his parents put him in. It must have been hard going for quite a while, but things seem to be on the up for Johnson now. He's happily married to his wife, he's hired trusted professionals to look after his finances, and he spent the past 2 years in Pittsburgh, where he's been given a fresh start away from the off-ice legal battles, the family arguments, and the controversy. He may not be the greatest player in the league right now, hell, he may be way past his own prime, but Jack Johnson sure has battled through some tough times during his career. And that's the story of Jack Johnson's journey from millionaire to bankruptcy. What do you guys think about Johnson's on-ice play, his financial troubles, or his parents' involvement? Did you know about this before watching this video? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Antti Hannanen, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, John Plomin, Jordan Whitehead, Martin Tolness, Paul Mallia, Roman from London, The Legacy, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.